Welcome to the Near Memo, a weekly conversation about search, social, and commerce. What happened, why it matters, and the implications for local. So moving on to the third and final item here, this is also about sort of AI versus search. There'll be some interesting proprietary search data that I'll be able to share in a maybe a couple of weeks. That is new to the market, but for now, there are a couple of surveys that I want to reference. One that appeared in a Search Engine Land write-up from an agency called Fractal. They did a 1,000-person survey, adults, but they didn't indicate the geography, so we don't know if this is a global study or just U.S. or North America. Let's assume it's the latter, where they found, it was basically a redo of a survey they had done with Moz a while ago, and they asked people, in the last week, have you used these things? And they asked a bunch of other questions. And there's a lot of, I wrote it up, and you can go to the write-up on Search Engine Land, look at the data set, the links in our newsletter, and we'll put it in the show notes here. But basically what they found is that 97% of these respondents are using Google, and, with some regularity. But interestingly, 48% rather, are using, and 91% are using social media. 48% are using ChatGPT in the last week. So that indicates at least weekly frequency. And when you combine that, that's a pretty big number. It may not be capable of extrapolation to the whole market. Like, it's basically half of the people are using ChatGPT. We know that's probably not true. But ChatGPT itself has said that it's gone from, a short while ago, they said that their usage numbers doubled from 100 million to 200 million. And then within the last few months, another 50 million. So they're now at 250 million weekly active users, which is a big number.
I did see a post the other day, I think it was from Kevin Indig, that just sort of showed some web numbers that showed them getting more traffic than Bing search.
Than Bing, right. So ChatGPT has now, according to SimilarWeb, I think was the data source, exceeded Bing's traffic, which is significant. Bing has a small amount of traffic compared to Google, but Bing was sort of the number 2 player in the market. And so now allegedly ChatGPT has more traffic. And Mark T from SEO Clarity has said, based on their data, that the referral volume has tripled in the last 2 months from ChatGPT. So we're seeing ChatGPT growth. Another survey, which was fairly recent, by investment firm Evercore, found that 8% of users now are relying on ChatGPT this is 1,300, the base is 1,300 US adults. 8% of those people are relying on ChatGPT as their go-to search engine, so their primary search engine. So there's plenty of indications of growth in AI, and AI as a search substitute.
Search supplement and not a substitute. I mean, the ad numbers would indicate that people are still searching.
So that's what I was about to say. That's the central question. Is it a supplement or a substitute? Some of these survey data suggest substitute, and others suggest supplement. The data that I can share in a couple of weeks will answer that question, at least from a survey basis. But Google, as you point out, Mike, Google's Q3 numbers did not indicate any erosion at all. They're still going strong. They outperformed market expectations. So at least from a monetized search query standpoint, they're doing as well or better than they've ever done. So it's kind of hard to know what's really going on here, with people, or the numbers that are being fielded in the AI context are just really small compared to Google's overall volume. But 250 million people using ChatGPT once a week at least is not a small number. So it's there's still a little bit of a mystery as to what's really going on.
Well, I think it was Ernest Hemingway, when somebody asked him how he went bankrupt, he said very slowly at first and then very quickly. I think you could apply that aphorism to Google search. I mean, if behaviors are changing, that sort of is a typical, that they change slowly. You're doubling or tripling at a 2% level or 3% level. It's still not a significant impact. And it could be in the end that Google maintains some measure of presence, but isn't the only choice, right? I mean, there's a lot of possible futures.
Well, and Google's AI rollout in 100 countries, to me, suggests that they're trying to preempt, they're trying to satisfy that AI itch enough with AI overviews to keep people on Google.
Or maybe to keep their costs down on search. We don't know. They just announced also that a fourth of their code is now written by AI.
Right? Yeah, which means more layoffs in the future. Their new CFO said, these guys in the past have done a good job of cost control, but I think we can do better. Which means more heads will roll in
Somebody's more of a head roller than Ruth Porat. Who is the new CFO?
Her name is Anat Ashkenazi, I believe. I don't know where she comes from, and she's going to be more of a tightwad than Porat has been, or Porat, however you pronounce it. It seems like
a very successul tightwad, it must be said. Yes. Google has done extremely well under Ruth's tenure. So,
yep, she's brought a kind of Wall Street discipline to them, and that's been a blessing and a curse. A blessing for investors, a curse perhaps for users and the user experience on some level.
Employees. Yeah,
for sure, employees. All right, so that's the scary story, I think, for this Halloween edition of the Near Memo.
We'll know things have gotten really rough when we get AI Danny Sullivan. That's going to be the tipping point. So
right, the avatar, Danny Sullivan's avatar, synesthesia generated, or synthetic voice, synthetic answers. All right. Well, anyway, everybody, happy Halloween if you're celebrating that, and or Day of the Dead or whatever, and don't eat too much candy, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for joining David, Mike, and Greg. To stay on top of the latest developments in local, subscribe to our newsletter at nearmedia.co. We'll see you next week.